Hey guys, it's Savage, and before we get this episode started, I just want to give you a little disclaimer. We had a little bit of audio problem on this. It was because of the Zoom plugins, and our guests were calling in on Zoom. So we got it fixed after a couple minutes. So if you just bear with the first part of this interview, it kicks in and improves greatly soon after. So thanks for bearing with us, and hope you enjoy the show.
Thank you for listening to SPN, the Savage Podcasting Network.
You're listening to The Stephen Savage Show on the Savage Podcasting Network. And now, here's your host, film and television director, Stephen Savage.
Thank you, Nicole. How you doing, everybody? Savage here with you for yet another episode of the Stephen Savage Show, the official podcast of the Idlewild International Festival of Cinema, coming to you as always from Cranium Wheel Studio at Chateau Esteban in the beautiful alpine village of Idlewild, California, just 2 hours east of Los Angeles, but a world away at nearly 6,000 feet, high atop majestic Mount San Jacinto and overlooking the great Coachella Valley. And just a heads up as to who will be joining the podcast very soon. Oscar and Golden Globe nominated actress Ann Archer will be returning to talk more about her career and her job as head of the Idlewild Cinema Fest Grand Jury since 2017. And my great friend Irene Bedard, the voice and model of the classic Disney character Pocahontas, will be in to speak about her great career, including her new Netflix series, American Primeval, among other things. So that should be fun. And before I introduce our Zoom-in guests for today, let's take a moment to give a shout-out to our local Idlewild sponsors who display such strong support for the Idlewild Film Festival each and every year. As you know, the Idlewild Festival is not corporate sponsored, but completely independent in both content and execution. And we're happy to be talking about our main lodging sponsor, the Talk Eats Pines Retreat Center, an amazing facility for weekend stays, romantic getaways, conferences, weddings, family reunions, and just about any gathering you can think of, both large and small. Faro Restaurant, the best Italian food in Idlewild and anywhere else on the planet for that matter, with your hosts Frank and Lori Faro, who have also been festival sponsors from year one. Faro, it's Italian elevated. To our home base, the Rustic Theater, our theater home since the festival's first season 17 years ago, where owners, sorry about that, I'm reading an email, where owners Gail and Graham Sutherland offer up first-run Hollywood movies, independent films, live events, and more. The Rustic Theater, Idlewild, California, and La Casita Restaurant, simply the best Mexican food around, La Casita, and Idlewild Film Fest favorite. And I've got a lot of emails coming in talking about my friend Lonnie Anderson, who passed away this past weekend, and she was a great lady, and I'm just happy that I had a chance to know her, and so my friends are all sending in their condolences, and that's great. Okay, let's get on with the show. Put it on the road, as they say. My two guests for this episode are independent filmmakers, originally hailing from Austria. They are actresses, directors, producers, writers, and truly inspirational filmmakers. And they just happen to be twins, which is pretty interesting. They're here to promote their first feature film project, Day of a Lion, which won numerous awards at this past Idlewild International Film Festival and has now gone on to garner a distribution deal with Gravitas Ventures, I believe, on its way to a worldwide release very soon. And we're going to talk about that film, their journey from Austria through a stint in Canada, and now enjoying their lives in Hollywood as up-and-coming filmmakers. Allow me to welcome in from their home in Los Angeles, Bianca and Delara Foscht. Ladies, how are you? And did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you absolutely did, Stephen. Thank you so much for having us.
Good. It's one of those things I always like to get the name right, but it's not always I'm not always great at it. So anyway,
especially last names.
Yeah.
Since it's an Austrian name, Foscht, it's very complicated, even in German, to pronounce it. So you're good.
Right. If I remember, we actually met at the home of the great TV director Michael Goy, which through our mutual friend, the legendary script supervisor Faye Brenner. Am I remembering correctly? That's the first place we met, right?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
They're fantastic, and it was like one of Michael's movie nights, and I think we connected first off because I loved your cowboy hat that you were wearing. It was like, who is this guy with the boots and the cowboy hat? You were just like, I mean, great energy, and I think we started quite early in the night, talking about your project, about the festival, all of it. But I just remember the hat. That it was just like, maybe, but I'm gonna talk with this guy.
Yeah, it's a trademark. I remember I think I was at Sundance, and I went and I was wearing like a Peaky Blinders cap the first day of the festival, and no one looked at me, said a word to me, and I was going, oh, that's weird. The next day I wore my cowboy hat, and it was just like everybody, hey, you're Stephen Savage, right? Blah, blah, blah. So it's, yeah, you get into a trademark thing. I just don't even think about it. I just put them on, and then I'm done. So,
Do you have like the same hat, or do you use like you?
Oh, no, I have about 11 or probably close to a dozen different cowboy hats. They're all kind of basically the same style, but there's different colors. And I have one black leather cowboy hat that I'll take out for red carpet events.
Oh, nice. But, I can't imagine Steven without the hat, honestly.
Yeah, that is funny. Let's get into a couple things, like being twins, working together in international entertainment. That and being twins has to be a unique experience. What's it been like for first of all for you guys to work together, and how is the twin thing different when dealing with others in the industry? And I know you guys don't really have a reference, but because you've always been twins, but you do work independently from one another sometimes as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question. I think for the filmmaking, it's really awesome because I mean, as actresses, we work usually separate because you're not always booking the sister role or the twin thing,
right,
which is also very favorite in our way. But for the filmmaking, it's really nice to have somebody. We usually split tasks, so it's really nice to have this person's concentrating on those emails, the other person is rewriting the script, the other person it's easy to split back and forth and then go back and have like a fresh eye on it because the other person hasn't looked at those emails or hasn't looked at the next script draft or whatever it is. So I think that's really advantageous, and having that honest feedback because we trust each other, and I think that's really great.
Right.
And I also think we have a similar taste, but yet it's different enough to give note or feedback on stuff. And like Bianca mentioned, when you can split tasks and you get really into something, and at some point you're like, I've done too many emails, you can switch it out and about. I feel like that's a really nice kind of trade when you have a sister, and because we've been growing up together, I feel like there's definitely a shortcut in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just easier and
less work to communicate, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right.
So I feel like that's definitely something I really love about working with Bianca.
Every small town has that one special spot, a place where strangers become friends and friends share great times together. Idlewild, California has just that spot, Terrence Place Pub and Gallery, where live music and good company create amazing memories. We feature fine wines along with international and domestic tap beers. Our vibe is welcoming, fun, and eclectic. Terrence Place Pub and Gallery is proud to be an official sponsor of the Idlewild International Festival of Cinema. Come and experience the alpine charm of Terrence Place, located in a village lane in downtown Idlewild, California. We invite you to stop by and have a great time.
Idlewild isn't just a scenic mountain town, it's a living gallery. The Art Alliance of Idlewild supports local artists, funds youth art programs, and hosts world-class events that turn our town into an art lover's destination. Become a member, attend an event, or donate to support the arts. Follow us on Instagram at Art Alliance of Idlewild, or visit artinidlewild.org and be part of our creative community.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. We were having some audio problems, and it was in the Zoom program itself. Now we should be back online. So what I'd like to do now is go backwards a little bit and get into your origins, how you actually ended up in the States, your childhood in Austria, your education, and then how you found yourself getting into film and television and eventually relocating to Hollywood. So if you guys don't mind taking a step backwards, just kick us off like that.
Absolutely. Love that. Yes. Yeah, I think we'll bounce it back and forth between Dilara and me. That's a great thing. You can always, add some those holes.
And now I've got you guys on actually recording, so this is good. We got everything, but it was kind of wonky. But don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Perfect. Even if we start now, we tell at the core with childhood.
No. I won't make you go back. We'll figure it out in post. So anyway, answer my question now.
We'll dig right into it. So we are coming originally from Austria, like a very small town called Graz, which is kind of close to Vienna. And we never, our whole family, I would say, our mom was a competitive dancer when she was younger, but there hasn't been anybody that has worked in theater or film or in the arts at all. I would say we're all creative people probably in the family, but more on the sports side than really, anything on the creative side. So I think it was a far jump for us to go all the way to America eventually to work in film. So that was definitely something that came out of, our curiosity for the arts from a young age.
You want to just hold it here for a second for the sirens?
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry. I can barely hear it. So everybody's going to listen to this going, man, they don't have their audio crap together at all. No, we actually, I've been doing this a long time. It's just, Zoom has this way of changing up everything about their on a weekly basis. Everything's different. The way you ingest audio changes all the time. So. Anyway, it's sounding really good now. So anyway, back to you guys. So you started, you did a lot of sports. You did a lot of dancing as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct, yeah.
So we started kind of the creative journey through competitive dancing, which we did in Austria for 8+ years. And we always knew we wanted to do acting, but because Austria doesn't, except for Vienna, which is still 2.5 hour drive from our hometown, they don't really have a huge film industry as we know it from the North American market. And so it was never kind of feasible for us to go to auditions or any of that stuff. And also because no one in our family is in that field, there was just no knowledge of how even to approach this. And through competitive dancing, we were, going to competitions all over Europe. And it was just like for us, the most magical place to be on those stages and telling stories really through dance. And it was really the storytelling aspect, I think, that really amazed us. And eventually we ended up, after doing competitive dancing, we joined a youth company in Austria, in our hometown,
which was like a local theater.
Exactly, a local theater. And we went there just into their youth company. And one of the directors they also have a actual professional theater there. And they spotted us at a kind of end of the year performance kind of thing.
Right.
And she was just doing in the development of a new play, Oscar Wilde's Dorian Gray, Pictures of Beauty. And she was saying she wanted to do a new take on it with just like a couple characters or even one or two woman show. Basically, she wanted to take women instead of men and also very much approach a new modern approach of the beauty image. Then she asked us if we wanted to join her, basically. So saw us at that performance and then cast us in it, basically. And that was kind of our first, stage production we did in Austria. And it was truly the best acting experience we've had. I think I can speak for us too, because it was so much out of comfort zone. Like if you've ever seen Austrian or European theater, we like to do stuff out of the box, really push people's limits and how far can I go in society until they really
throw tomatoes at us.
It's
sometimes really obscure theater, and I think I love that. And I think also we do bring that in our filmmaking nowadays, this kind of obscurity or oddness that we found in a lot of German and Austrian and European theater. So we did that, and then from that theater production Austria, we applied to some acting schools all over, like Germany and Austria mostly, and then got accepted to one in Germany, and we did that for a year. It was like just to the border of Austria. It was a great experience. It was a full-time study for a year, but we were just always longing for. It was just always like it just never seemed like we arrived at the point where we wanted to be. In Germany, it was just like it didn't feel like enough. And we were like, well, we would really love to, not just learn about, the acting side, but just like also the film business, because there's less of a business in the European market. It's fully funded, and the system is very different. And often it's like they make beautiful movies, but there's not like a living that you can make out of it. So we're like, well, how can we create something that actually works and that we can really do for the rest of our lives? Because if it's sustainable, then that's what we want to do. So we went to Vancouver first, like they call it, a Hollywood North. So it was like it was easier for us for the visa because Austria has like a nice collaboration with Canada to do that, like a work and travel visa. So we did that, and we moved basically to Vancouver when it was still COVID and everything. It was everything still kind of shut down. It was weird, but we loved it, and we wanted to give ourselves a year and see how we like it, and we really loved it, even though we worked very little in film at that point, but just independent film and so on. We went to every event possible. We were PAing for free for any indie project that was out there, just like getting ourselves into the game, and it was a great experience because we learned so much. And then very short after, we started PAing on big shows that they shot up in Vancouver, like for Disney and Paramount and Warner Brothers. And that was basically film school for us, to be behind the camera and like going from, picking up trash to, like bringing coffee to, ring the bells. It was just really great because we got to see all the different departments on set and appreciate it. And I think as actresses, it made us much more not only grateful, but also, like when an actor arrives on set, you come there and you do your stuff. But, I know I come on set as an actor when I go on sets with the back knowledge that the PA has been here already since 5 a.m. in the morning if I arrive at 10, right? So I think there comes this just a broader understanding of communication when it comes to filmmaking. And I think that's the most important part, because
so was this kind of I will say excellent way of starting out, this kind of work ethic? Did this come from your parents? And I'm just happy that the rumors weren't true that you guys started off as trapeze artists in the circus. You actually but people come to me all the time, and I read this online, and people say, if you've got to set your goals and right off the bat and tell people what you're worth. And if you work for free or for cheap, you're telling everybody what you're worth. And I go, what a bunch of crap. I work for free and for low wages just to make the connections and everything exactly like you guys have been doing. Yeah. And now look where you're at, and the people who are talking about how much they're worth are still trying to get their first real job in the movies. And you guys, great job, man. I'm just wondering, was that a thing that you were taught from your family, or how did that come about?
First up, I love how you were kind of putting that into perspective. Yeah. But I also it's such a mindset thing. And I think that's what we've definitely learned from our family, because like you mentioned, for free and all these freebies, but for us, no day that we, were on set for free basically felt like a day for free, because we just learned so much on it. So, our payment was the knowledge, the connections,
an investment an investment in yourself,
Absolutely. Yes. And that's what they say, right? With every company, you spend the first 5 years investing in your company, and even your acting business, if you want to say so, is an investment in yourself, right? Like, so many people spend lots of money in acting classes and dance classes and singing classes and so on. And eventually it will pay off. That's at least we're a firm believer. And back to your question, where it's coming from, our parents are absolutely amazing. And they've both always, since we were young, kind of their mindset was, do whatever you want to do, whatever profession you want to do, go for it. If you 100% love it and want to do it, you can kind of achieve whatever you set your mind to. That was always kind of the idea in our family. And I think also our dad is very generous, and he's working on cars a lot. Like he started as a mechanic. He works at a company. He is helping our brother. Our brother's a racer. He's driving race cars. So they worked as a team a lot. And I think watching our dad, even though we're not in the car field at all, but seeing him being so passionate about what he's doing, and then also seeing him along the way helping out so many people, never opening his hand for like wanting a payback or anything. It's just like, no, it's just what you gotta do and help out. And I think that generosity and that and always seeing it always came back for him. And it always, he was never, he was just, he's such an incredible person. I think that seeing that growing up and coming with that, positive energy, and that, knowing everything is going to be all right. I think it's very little that you find people in this world where it's like, when you go meet that person, you have this like sense of just peace and relaxation, and you're like, everything's going to be okay. And I think that's really great. It's something definitely that we wanted to take from him.
I think it's also funny how important family is. It's it's so important, and even some people who, like, I grew up without a dad, and I look back on kids without dads now, and I go, man, I so can see the difference between my early career and how I think I learned from my mentors and people that I met in the business. That was kind of without that strong base like you guys have, it's harder. It was harder for me to get to a point, into my 30s where I really started taking responsibility for my own actions and my own career and all of that stuff. So congratulations on having that family. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I absolutely
Grateful.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into Day of a Lion. How did that project come about, and what roles did each of you play in both production and on screen? Where would you ultimately want this picture to go, and what would you like it to do for your careers? And speaking of that, where do you see yourselves in 10 years? You're both very young. I think you guys are 24?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that all goes back to how far you've come, because you took the right route, and you set yourselves up by not saying, hey, we're worth this or we need this. You set yourself up to do things in such a way where people wanted to help you. That's an amazing thing. But potentially you guys have very long film careers ahead of you, for sure. So
Fingers crossed.
Let's talk about the film, and then I'm going to ask you, where you'd like to be in a decade. Let's just talk about how the project came about, A Day of a Lion.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I feel like it kind of ties back to where Bianca left off with the Canada journey, because we were still back in Canada, in Vancouver, when we decided in making that movie. And actually it was about that time when we met Michael. It was like kind of coincidental through a movie. We approached him and kind of started this kind of mentorship.
Oh, Michael Goy, yeah.
Michael Goy,
Yeah.
Michael Goy. Started that mentorship with him, and it was really through him that we started to think about making a movie ourselves, because we've done like short movies way back, and it was just always because to play. It was our kind of nurturing our inner child and like playing while we were waiting for the industry, to give you roles and let you play, basically. So we were always kind of in that route of, if no one does it for us, we'll just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we wrote another script first that was kind of also connected to our roots and the Brother Grimm fairy tales that we grew up with, but the budget would have been way, way bigger. And that was also kind of through our mentoring with Michael Goy, that he was like, hey, make something that's smaller, that you can pull off yourselves and see, what that would be like. And Bianca had the idea of Day of a Lion and did the entire first draft. And it was basically, it was a lot of, the writing process started with a lot of long dinners at night where we just talk about the characters and our curiosities about what we want to do. And that kind of started the whole writing process. And and then exactly. So I wrote the first skeleton, and we, until this day, even for the next script that we wrote that we are now in development, it's all usually I start the skeleton draft and I give it to Dilara, and we consistently talk about it over dinner and so on. New ideas come in, and then I give it to Dilara, and she fills in the missing puzzle pieces and changes dialogues or writes a list of what doesn't work, and then I get it back and then I work on it again, and then so it bounces back and forth eventually, and that's what we do also with other tasks for the production process.
You guys have a true partnership. It's not just about the sisters, but you have a true professional working partnership.
Yes. Yeah. I think you got it. I think it's more professional now than sister.
Well, as you guys get more if you guys get more experienced and more professional, of course your relationship will get that way too. So that's good.
And this was the same for Day of a Lion. So we worked on Percy Jackson, the TV show, the Disney TV show, up in Vancouver as PAs, and we got to meet some amazing. All the crew, it trickles up from the top. Dan Schatz, who is one of the showrunners of Percy Jackson, he is one of the loveliest, and he's also now a mentor of ours that we can go to with questions, and he's fantastic, and he. The set was just the most beautiful ever, because it was so everybody was so helpful and so positive, because it it trickles down from the top. And since Stan Schatz and John Steinberg, both of them are just amazing on that show, I think it came down all to the bottom to every PA, and we were lucky to work on it as a PA, and we worked on it, and we got to connect with a lot of people. One of them is the video coordinator on Percy Jackson. His name is David Joshi. He's also an amazing director, and we became friends with him and started talking about our movie that we want to shoot. And he read the script and eventually, and he got really excited and eventually, reached around the script on set, and we got more and more people excited about this project we wanted to do. And we were very lucky because we first wanted to shoot it in the winter break, and then pushed it to March. And Percy
2023.
Exactly. And Percy Jackson wrapped in January. So they had 2 months, and then they were on a hiatus anyways for the next couple months until it started again. So they were like, a lot of crew members were jumping on board because we were shooting for like 13 days, and we're like, well, that's going to be a fun little project we can do in between to be creative. So David Joshi was supporting us with all his video coordination, gears, the monitors and everything for free. And we had other peoples that we knew from independent film work that were jumping on board through, that we've worked with them together. And
another colleague, Sean Major, we met him as when we were acting on another project, and he has a whole prop shop that he basically let us take anything we wanted for free as well. So the whole project, I think, got way more value than what we actually financially contributed to it, because we had so many amazing partners who just, really were in it for making this movie happen.
And every single crew member was in for the passion and like brought the creativity to it. Our DP Marco Lamera is from Milan, and he brought that visual beauty to life, how we saw the movie. And I think everybody brought their bits to it, and that was really incredible. Without the crew, this movie wouldn't be what it is today. And that's what I love about filmmaking. It's such a community project. A movie is only what it is with everybody on board.
Yeah, so it's the most collaborative art form there is, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a musician all through my 20s and into my 30s, and that was just, 4 guys writing and throwing things around and arguing. But when I got into film school, I realized, man, you actually have to work with people, and it's not always easy for everybody, but you guys seem to be doing pretty well.
I think that's, again, a thank you to our parents, because we are 2 of 5 kids. I think just accidentally, that's what we are very grateful for them to have so many siblings. I think you naturally grow up having to share and kind of all the time there's negotiation, who gets what toy and all that. And then also the competitive dancing, because we were in a dance company, right? So that's very similar too, because you got to be synchronized with everyone. There's like so many different types of dance. It's very similar to filmmaking when you think about it, just on a creative level.
It's like the cheerleading thing here in the States, man. It's like the competition, and then dance is about the same thing. These are sports. I mean, competitive dancing, competitive cheerleading. It's there's sporting events, So
yes, absolutely. And I feel like that competitive edge sometimes can help, or for me was really beneficial growing up also, because there's always something you're kind of, once you want it, you can set your goal for it, and you just go step by step. There's a kind of a step by step, you go towards that goal. And for dancing specifically, you see the outcome pretty fast. If you train your muscles, you will see you get better at this and at the turns, whatever. But what I realized, like through dancing, you can't be like, oh, tomorrow I want to be the best ballerina in the world. Okay, that's going to be, I want to achieve that. And it takes years and years and years to get there. And, the more you put into it, the faster you get there. And I think that's the same mindset that we, was accompanying us with filmmaking, that, you want to achieve this in future. Well, I can't have this tomorrow. And I think a lot of generations, even our generation is like, everybody wants everything like the minute they think about it. And I think that sometimes, we like, it's a process. So I think that's the beauty with filmmaking. And I think that's coming from that sports mindset of, if you want to get somewhere, you might not see the outcome today or tomorrow or the day after, but, you will see it in a year and then the year after. And I think that's believing in your craft and that you go the right way.
The more successful people in the world, they always say, are people who they're able to wait. They don't need that instant gratification. They see the long run, and that's kind of where you guys are at. I mean, I think when I first met you, and then after that, I remember we all gathered down at in San Diego, right on the beach. Remember that that cool condo? And we talked about filmmaking, and we just, the 3 of us, I remember, just went off to the side and sat around that little umbrella and watching the ocean, and it was a great weekend. But after talking to you guys, I went, man, these guys are more serious than I even gave them credit for. I knew you had ambition and everything, but a lot of people do, and it was a pretty cool weekend, actually, and I could tell right away you guys are serious filmmakers. So, the story. Go ahead.
That's so beautiful hearing that from your voice, and I do remember that weekend so well. With also just like as a beautiful creative get together. So
yeah, it was a really good way for all of us to get to know each other, and for the three of us, for me to be able to tell, kind of gauge where you guys were at, and it wasn't just a couple of young women who were, dabbling in something. I could tell you guys were quite serious, and now. With A Day of a Lion, it's the proof is there in the pudding that you guys really know where you want to go, what you want to be, and the story itself, A Day of a Lion, is quite poignant. Was it your intention to tell a story that's like so? It seems very timely at the moment, and it's a real poignant story. I'm just wondering, what was the antithesis of the script, and what was your intention when telling it? Was there any agenda involved, or did you just dive into the story?
I think we were very curious about the characters first, and that kind of created the story. I do have to say it becomes more and more timely, like you said, but I think we all get influenced by, social things that are happening around us. Right. And that probably influenced the movie as well. But I think we didn't create like for me speaking, we did not tell me if that comes from that your influence was going into it. But I think it's always first, the story and the characters, and then we kind of dig deeper and find the message behind it. I think it never comes from, I want to, bring this message across and then build a story in that. That hasn't happened so far, but, it's always two sides, so you can create a story.
I think also because we come from acting, again, the performance is kind of the factor, is kind of the vehicle in a way, but also because the characters, that like, what is the core of the characters? Why do they behave the way they behave? I think that is always the first point that started the conversation. And then the deeper we went into that, the more the story started to elaborate. And once people see the movie, because it's coming out, like you mentioned, on 15th of August, I think it's a movie you can't just watch one time to get everything that's behind it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of stuff that happens, that you
on a different layer, right?
Yeah, on a different layer. And we don't even expect people to pick it up maybe ever, but it's, it's I feel like it's really important to have that backstory and that fuel for every character that is in the story. Also the house, for example, which is a character. Right. But yeah, like Bianca said, we started with the characters and then built the story around it. And I love period pieces. So we were like, can we put this in the 50s? And we don't define the time in the movie now eventually, because we do have one or two nooks that are not, 100%.
There are a couple of anachronistic things, but I mean, the costuming and everything is pretty spot on. I didn't really catch a lot, but it plays true to that 1950s era. And I think it was an overall great job. I think you guys are, I know you're really proud of the movie. It's always kind of, I know whenever a film of mine is about to be released, I'm like, God, is anybody going to like it? And then I go, well, there's no way to go back and change it. It's done. So here we go. And it's like having a kid, you do your best to raise it, but once it goes out in the world, you just move on to another kid.
Make it better with the next one.
Well put, yeah.
But it's true. But I think also because we were coming from, when we made the movie, we said this is going to be our film school, because we never went to
experiment.
Film school.
Yeah,
it's an experiment. We want to see like what we can do with the resources we have, and like we really just were curious about the story. So everything that came after, like the acceptance to some amazing film festivals like Idlewild, and so many wins as well. And then also the distribution path that came after were just like kind of the cherry on top, because at the beginning we thought we'll just make the movie and nothing's going to happen.
Nobody will ever see it and we'll move on. We learn from it.
All of the story, because it's such a psychodrama in a way that is very much kind of connected to our European roots, multilingual too. We knew when we made the movie, this is going to be something that maybe 10% of the population will ever enjoy watching. But it's also, we didn't make it to, sell it to the big players. It was made for us as an experiment and the story we really wanted to tell.
But you know what? It doesn't come off that way at all. A lot of people, like my thesis film wasn't an experiment, or I went out which I think you guys did. That was my first feature film, was my LA Film School thesis film, and I went out there. I went out there to make a movie. Now, in hindsight, I look at it, that was cringy. Ooh, that didn't quite work. But when you look at it overall, and the accomplishment to make any movie is pretty amazing. I think what I see on the screen with A Day of a Lion is two filmmakers spreading their wings, and you're learning as you go. And every movie I make, I'm learning. But what I see is a feature film that is it's storytelling, just like Orson Welles or John Huston or Catherine Bigelow, if you want to talk more modern stuff. She's an ambitious director. She has the zeros behind her budgets to be ambitious, but we all know she didn't start off with those budgets. And the fact is, she still puts every buck on the screen, if you know what I mean. That's and so you guys you're at a smaller level than Catherine, but let's face it, she goes through the same things that you guys went through, and even in her bigger movies. Like, I remember watching the director's commentary DVD of Open Range, Kevin Costner, and the big Western he did, and with Robert Duvall, and the director's commentary is like, the whole thing is him bitching about investors who didn't show up with money at a certain time, and all the headaches, and realize, and here's this guy, a major Hollywood player, and he's making a new movie, and he's going through the same with Francis Coppola. If you watch the director's commentary of The Godfather, these guys go through the same thing. So filmmaking is filmmaking, and the way you guys went about this movie, you treated it as I remember being a musician, and my band would play, really great clubs in Hollywood, the Whiskey A Go-Go and the Troubadour, and but we would also play these smaller venues where only 50 people would show up at the beginning, and we just decided we're going out there and playing like we're at Madison Square Garden and there's 20,000 people out there. And so what you said was actually true. You made the movie for yourself. I mean, you made a movie, so it's there. But in the end, when you have limitations, in the end, you really have to make it for yourself, and to make it in such a way that you'll be proud of it no matter what the end result is.
I 100% agree, Stephen. And I think also, like you said, making a movie is such a miracle. Like, whatever, nobody intends to make a bad movie, but you are like restricted, right? But I think it's the same for actors when they say there's no small roles. I think every tiniest project that we approach as actors, but also every tiniest project or every project we start as filmmakers now, even with writing the next one and so on, I think it's like you always have to believe 100% in it, because otherwise, who's gonna trust you with their artistry or with their money on one side, but also making a movie is such a even like a short movie or like a clip of whatever it is, like, it's such a miracle to get things together and make it happen. So I applaud every creative out there that does it, and I think that's always to keep in mind when making a movie, that to believe in it.
It makes you appreciate other filmmakers as well. I mean, we're all in this together, and again, we go back to Catherine Bigelow or bigger directors like that, the Coen brothers. We still have an appreciation for it. It's not all red carpet glamour. There's a lot of trench warfare you have to go into. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and we're all wearing milk-bone underwear. It's so. Anyway, I that's another thing I appreciate about you guys, is that you appreciate the process, and you know exactly where you're at in your careers and where you want to be, and so the release date again is coming up. Where is it going to be streaming?
Yeah, it's coming up on August 15th, so that's the release day, and we found a home for it now on Apple TV and Amazon, and we do have a couple other smaller providers.
Yeah, we have a lot of local TV like Dish and Comcast. So there's we have a whole list, and that's great. That's coming out on the 15th. So for first VOD, and then on the later in November, we will go out for SVOD and AVOD, and we are right now in conversation with international distribution to get out there as well. That's our goal.
It's so funny how that works. It can be backwards. I had I had a movie that was released in theaters in Western Europe and the UK. And,
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't released in the United States for another 8 years after it came out. Then it got, and it was, you just never know, and you just have to be patient. And while you're doing other work, you know, things will happen with your films. They show up in the oddest places, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, like you said, you never know where it goes, and it's also so long lived. It's never going, you know, still get the residuals after and all that stuff that's coming. It will never disappear. It will never let you go in a way.
Yeah.
Interesting though that you said it. We thought for Day of a Lion first that it would go European because it's multilingual.
Yeah,
it's
right.
very based on a European kind of storytelling. But it was for us completely the other way around. America picked it up first, and now we're heading then into European distribution.
Right. Yeah, it's just distribution is a funny game all on its own, and I advise any new filmmakers to learn that as you're learning your craft, because it's just as important. You know, you've got to know what the hell's happening to your work. You know, and I've posted a couple times where I took pictures. I walked in, a friend of mine and I, she was looking for something at Target. We were in Pasadena, and I need to stop at the Target. And we walked in, and I didn't even know they still sold DVDs in Target or Walmart. But I walked in, and there's a whole DVD list, and she goes, "Hey, isn't that your movie?" And I looked down, and there was my film Legacy, which I made in 2010, I think. And there it was, and it was on the shelf with all these other big-time Hollywood movies, but there was a red tag on the 2 DVD copies that were on the shelf, the $14.99 marked down to $4.99. And so I took pictures and I posted it. And everyone's writing me, "Oh, we're so sorry. Your next one will do better. It won't be a bargain." And I go, "What are you talking about? That's my movie. My movie's on the shelf at Target. What do you see?"
Yes.
I'm not bitching and moaning because it's on sale. Who cares? It's right next to a Tom Cruise movie. And then about a week later, I'm in a Barnes and Noble in Palm Springs, and I walk in. There's the big bargain bin, and there was the movie. And I was just really proud of this. I didn't even know people still bought DVDs and Blu-rays, but there it was. Yeah. And so you also have to set.
Of course, made it out of the many, many movies that they probably get, on that shelf. So that's the achievement. Yeah.
And you've got to put it in perspective. I mean, it didn't make you 100 million. Okay, well, maybe the next one will, but this one's out there, and somebody's going to pick it up, and it'll get sold. I'll tell you the funny story is I was somebody wrote me something and said, "Check this out on eBay," and the movie was for sale on eBay, still wrapped, and it was for sale for $14.99. They were trying to get $14.99 out of it, and I'm going, wow, that is interesting. So again, you want to keep track of who's distributing your movie and where it's going, because right now I have another movie where the producers and investors and I are still trying to figure out the original distribution company just kind of doesn't exist anymore, but it's still playing. So you do the research, and now we found out nobody told us that it's on with a different distributor, and we haven't gotten quarterlies. We don't know what the movie's making. We know it's playing on, it's streaming, but who's getting the money? And so, yeah, it can be a very, like anything else, it's just a weird business. So you got to stay on top of it. But your distributor now is pretty well known, and that good for you guys for landing that deal. That's a big deal.
Yes, absolutely. It's like we're really happy and we're excited, once it comes out. And so far the collaboration has been really great. Once again, one of our mentors helped us get it out there, get that deal set up for us. So that was really amazing as well.
Yeah, Gravitas Ventures is big. I mean, that's a big independent distribution company.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would love to have that. Well, I know you guys have a busy day ahead, and thank you for squeezing me in, and I'm sorry that we had some audio problems, but it was only for a couple of minutes. I think everything went well after that. So
yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for, taking the time, letting us be part of your podcast and chatting about the movie once more. I think it's always refreshing. And
that's great.
Also just like catching up with you, because I know you've been so busy with all your movies going on. I'm just again, like we said, social media, we keep us updated, but we just see Steven is here and then he's shooting here, and then there's another movie poster coming out here beside your music also. Congratulations on that end. It's just
going
fantastic.
well. It's just keeping busy. That's about. Before I let you guys go, tell us how my listeners can find out more about you and what you're up to. Do you guys have a website, or is your IMDb the best place to see what you're up to, or is it just all social media?
I think for the Day of a Lion journey right now, we like social media is probably the best. If people want to stay updated and see what's going on, we do have the dayofalion.film on Instagram, or the IMDb, where you can keep yourself updated as well. And then for us personally, we do have our Instagram, which is our first name and our last name, where we can be found, and then IMDb for no credits and collaboration.
Right.
But I think we're keeping it pretty simple on that end. For our next movie project, we're right now in development. We do have a website that's more on that movie related.
Yeah, it's something I don't think about much, but the producers I'm working with these days, they're all about, we've got to get social media going, we've got to get the promotional stuff going, and I just don't even think about it. I'm just always anxious to get up there and start working with crew and cast and get the movie done. Yeah. But again, it goes back to learning the business, and I'm still learning. I'm still figuring stuff out. So anyway, well, there you go. Another edition of the Steven Savage Show out and about. I want to thank everyone for listening in and for spreading the word about the show, which has been vital to increasing our listenership on a daily basis on every platform. And we at the Savage Podcasting Network truly appreciate you. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, blah, 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 wherever you find your favorite podcast. So for my sidekick, Nicole Hughes, engineer Maurice Sudo, the entire Savage Podcasting team, as well as Bianca and Delara Foscht, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.